Well, hello, that's me again. Today is Saturday, it's April 27th, and this is a SitRep of sorts because events are unfolding with incredible speed, but I already repeated it so many times now that it's becoming stale. So let's start with our very important issue. And the very important issue is that Mr. Peskov, obviously conveying the opinion of Kremlin and powers that be in Russia, that after special military operation, relations between Russia and Europe will not be the same. And he say that one way or another relations will have to be built. The special military operation will sooner or later end in success for us, and Russia is a country that does not pose a threat to anyone from Europe and expects that no one in Europe poses a threat to the Russian Federation. Will still have to agree on how we will live. At the same time, he said that this will be agreements on new modalities of relations. It will no longer be possible to beat relations as before, and no one will want this. First of all, us. That means Russia. We have a lot of experience in the attitude of Europeans towards us, and we will always take this experience into account when building relations, Peskov explained. Geographically, we are not going anywhere from each other. In any case, it's necessary to build relations on a new basis. And the new basis will be, of course, formulated with what Kremlin and other people and pundits actually in Russia state that, with consideration of the new realities on the ground. And there are many new realities on the ground, and they are unfolding day after day after day. And sometimes, as I already stated, there is not enough time, or for example, for me, my processing capacity or capability is pretty limited. I cannot constantly follow all the news, and that is why, for example, which I want to express a profound gratitude to my guys who actually communicate and discuss, sometimes quarrel, which is normal. On my discussion boards, they sometimes provide this necessary, how to put it politely, guidance, for me. And I look at something which they pointed out and say, hey, that's pretty good. And let's start with the pretty good stuff. And the stuff which is pretty good is my friend Larry Johnson, in the act of the true American patriotism and civic courage. He spoke at the United Nations Security Council regarding the Nord Stream 2 bombing. And you know what can I say? Just go at Larry's channel, at Larry Johnson on YouTube, or visit his wonderful blog and just look it up and hear what Larry has to say. He is prior to the whole mess, which, starting from Obama, Russians perceived Americans be people with the integrity, courageous, and so just go listen to what he had to say. It's absolutely, critical. So now, back to tactical operational issues. Well, Patrick Lawrence penned a wonderful piece yesterday about the impotence of Anthony Blinken. As you know, Anthony Blinken was in China, and he was humiliated all the way. Every step of his way, he was humiliated, including through the protocol events, including his meeting at the airport in Shanghai, or whatever the hell the name of the city he flew in. And he was met there with the deputy mayor, essentially. He went in China, just trying to convince China not to work with Russia, because, as Patrick Lawrence correctly stated, he stated that Matt Lee, the very able diplomatic correspondent, indeed, Matthew Lee is one of the few American true journalists in mainstream media, it corresponded at Associated Press, got it right than anyone in his April 22 report. The point of Blinken 3 days of talks with Chinese officials, he reported, is to have 3 days of talks with top Chinese officials. That means just showing the activity, achieving absolutely nothing, and in fact being humiliated. The mere fact that Blinken is making the trip might be seen by some as encouraging, Lee wrote, but ties between Washington and Beijing are tense and the rifts are growing wider. And Lawrence continues to explain what is going on, and this is pretty much what was stated by Blinken. We see China sharing machine tools, semiconductors, other dual-use items that have helped Russia rebuild the defense industrial base that sanctions and export controls has done so much to degrade. They still believe that, but hey, what do you expect? So now if China purports on the one hand to want good relations with Europe and other countries, it can't on the other hand be fueling what is the biggest threat to European security since the end of the Cold War. So yeah, I mean, essentially West unleashed the war, but it's European security, sure. And so the State Department continues to spew this absolute ignorant crap, basically, and you wouldn't expect any people there with any real serious competences. So, and we are prepared to take steps when we believe necessary against firms that severely undermine security in both Ukraine and Europe. We demonstrated our willingness to do so regarding firms from a number of countries, not just China. So blah 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 blah. The only thing they can do is sanction. So there you go. As tough diplomatic talk goes, if it doesn't get much tougher, and as dumb diplomacy goes, it does not get much dumber. And that's, again, Blinken is not a diplomat. United States doesn't have diplomacy as the functional art of state or state art. They pretty much, as I already will demonstrate to you, most of what is taught in all those international relations and diplomacy, and foreign service things, in the West are garbage, basically. You have people who live by narratives. They do not understand, most of them anyway, they do not understand how the world operates. And guess what? If you thought that Blinken can say something to China, well, just look up his photos when he leaves China. Nobody came to even bid adieu to him. I mean, the guy was lonely. So this is a protocol humiliation into your face. And, well, when you have especially some morons from London, this time from The Economist, there is a reason they don't publish actually the names of people who pen all this garbage there. Not because, they try to show that they are, or just giving everybody the platform. They don't. It's just that not to expose people of being utterly stupid. And so guess what? Now The Economist, against the background of this complete disaster, catastrophe, they, you know what? They penned this, gave the tribute to this guy. So here it is. It's been on April 11th, but you know what? I thought I would bring it up to your attention. And Russia is sure to lose in Ukraine, reckons a Chinese expert on Russia. The war between Russia and Ukraine has been catastrophic for both countries, with neither side enjoying an overwhelming advantage. Okay. The name of the guy is Feng Yujun. So he is from Shanghai. He's probably mentally challenged, which he is. And actually, how to put it politely, if you look at his background, the guy has no practical experiences in anything, and he made a reputation for himself as posting all kinds of garbage for his masters. He's from Shanghai, the most pro-Western, the most cosmopolitan city in China, and he is no specialist in anything, least of all in Russian international relations theory. I never knew that such thing existed at Russian international relations theory. He is professor, no less, vice dean, Institute of International Studies. So when you look through his, well, he writes mostly garbage, I mean, and primarily in the Western outlets, so he's propagandist. He has no, well, he's basically a degree mill product. And if you look attentively at his publications, you will notice that out of those 100 publications that they, how to put it politely, advertised on his site, he is actually stopped producing anything of value in 2014. Strange. Why? I don't know. Go to the list of his works and you will see yourself that he actually stopped writing anything of substance from 2014, precisely with the start of the, well, basically the Maidan so-called revolution. In reality, the coup d'etat with the Nazi forces essentially usurping power in Ukraine, which resulted, as you already know, in 2022 in special military operation. And essentially there are many properties, signs, if you wish, of the ethnic cleansing and things of other nature, which will be, of course, talked about on the International War Crimes Tribunal on Ukraine by Russians and those people who survived those things. So you have this a guy, whatever the name of the guy, so he writes the garbage. So after that, immediately RT, I'm not going to be putting it up for you to see, you can go out, and they immediately translate the basically article from the Kommersant. And Kommersant in Russia is basically a cesspool of the pro-Western liberals and probably some even intel assets. Normal people do not work in Kommersant, so Mr. Yusin, who has a degree in journalism, he penned the article which actually is based on this delirium by this Chinese guy, and he writes about that, yeah, China is about to, break relations, not break relations with Russia, obviously, but, they are afraid of sanctions. They are, and make no mistake, I am on record, and many people who love China, there's a lot to love in China, they probably will be hurt, but I will reiterate, you can look it up in my writing and in my speaking, that China is number 2. She is actually trailing Russia in the issues of the geopolitical importance, and without Russia, be that energy and huge spectrum of the actually the technologies, China will have issues. So in this particular case, obviously some private banks and some even state institutions in China who are for decades have been integrated with the Western institutions, especially financial institutions, they will behave as people with the shaky legs, like it is the case with Russians. Russians say things, as Mr. Peskov, you heard what he's doing in Russia, for example. The same goes for the, so to speak, the returning the favor in kind of the freezing some assets of the JP Morgan. So China is not going to do it. I mean, they are obviously tacit supporter of Russia, but obviously the delirium from the US State Department about the real impact of China on Russia is absolutely, well, delirium. And the problem here is not only the fact that, China supplies some machinery and some tools to Russia and some semiconductors. The problem is that, obviously, being people with humanities education from the all kinds of the Ivy League degree mills, they do not understand actually how modern economy works. They know a little bit of here and there, and they follow, for example, like they do with those lists for sanctions on some products. But that's the issue. And let me demonstrate to you before, for you to, how to put it politely, we talk about the Chinese military development and things of this nature, and it is very impressive, make no mistake. I'm speaking specifically about the military developments, and but obviously in overall general economy of China is gigantic. It dwarfs anything out there. United States, Russia, or even European Union combined is, So, but militarily, and what is crucial for China's existence, and strategically, especially with Taiwan being the anchor of the first island chain, essentially for China, China has to rely on Russia. And no matter how China will be intimidated, and sometimes this intimidation does work, albeit you already saw yourself, Mr. Z, for example, he didn't appreciate Mr. Blinken and, of course, what the American side had to say. And Chinese, they respect themselves. This is an ancient civilization with incredible culture, So they look at this kind of like in the long run. But yes, there will always be wobbling and shakiness. But all this narrative, including from this idiot from Kommersant, which RT published a couple of days ago, Mr. Yusin, the guy is have zero expertise in anything. So about the fact that, oh yeah, China is gonna fold. I don't think so. And Patrick Lawrence, as I already presented to you, penned an excellent piece of on this issue. But yes, China will be pressed constantly from all sides, and considering that it's a gigantic nation, the largest nation in the world, it's obviously will be wobbling a little bit here and there. And it is probably normal for the country which actually, if you might remember, in 2008, during the Chinese Olympic Games in Beijing, beautiful Olympic Games, one of the last performances before the international Olympic movement should basically die. I mean, it's rotten to the core and corrupted. But the point is, for them at that time, it was the China's coming out on the, not in the sense you would probably think, some of you, but it was coming out on the stage, international stage, as the superpower in many respects, and that's why Olympics have been so important for Beijing. It was actually to compensate, if you wish, and present new China free of the humiliations, geopolitical and military humiliations China sustained in the 19th and 20th century. So that was very important. Many people still do not understand. And yes, you cannot deny the fact that China, although it's de-dollarizing, it continues to be pretty much in a good connection with the West. And it will take some time before China finally, establishes itself as the fully independent Eurasian country, because obviously it comes inevitably with the territory. China being the workshop of the world, producing so many consumer goods, I mean, probably majority of them now. So obviously they are dependent on the foreign markets. But Russia, in this case, I probably will have to make the special video regarding this. And here we have this situation, and that's where it all comes down to. So we suddenly have the issue of the Trump as I do not subscribe to this stupid Bloomberg, but I just to demonstrate to you the headline that Trump advisors discuss penalties for nations that move away from the dollar. And Trump says Biden policy is undermining respect for U.S. currency. Well, obviously, Trump being a hot air balloon, he doesn't understand what he's dealing with. And obviously, the BRICS nations will be the first to be sanctioned. And here we have the Trump U.S. dollar full piece as reprinted by some Gazette Extra from Bloomberg. Discussions include penalties for allies who advertise search. Being a ally of the United States is as harmful, if not more, than the adversary, who seek active ways to engage in bilateral trade in currencies other than the dollar, with options including export controls, currency manipulation, charges, and tariffs, the people said, speaking on the condition of anonymity. I can totally believe this in Trump administration. If he comes to the White House, the guy will actually continue actively to destroy the United States. If you want to destroy accelerate, the United States is being destroyed as we speak. But if you want to accelerate the demise of the United States, sure. You know what? Yes, start, establish fines and sanction countries which are not using US dollars. The only thing United States really has left. And would I expect this from Trump if he becomes POTUS? Yeah, totally. I mean, the guy is absolutely, if people think that he's that smart, well, I have a bridge to sell you. I mean, he is himself now the classic swamp creature. And yeah, he is an Israeli occupied guy. And what can I say? Just, well, it is what it is. Nothing I can do about it. And that brings us to this whole situation that you know what, there is a butthurt all over the place, and we have this thing. So Associated Press now, just reports it, Ukraine pulls US provided Abrams tanks from the front lines over Russian drone threats. Okay, yeah, it's not just drones, but hey, let's say drones too. Absolutely, nobody argues with this. So they say that Ukraine has sidelined US provided Abrams M1A1 battle tanks for now in its fight against Russia because Russian drone warfare has made it too difficult to operate without detection or coming under attacks. Two US military officials told Associated Press. Well, welcome to the real war, people. Welcome to the warfare of the 21st century. But the battlefields can change substantially since then, notably by the ubiquitous use of Russian surveillance drones and hunter-killer drones. Well, yeah, sure, drones play a very important role, but here we have to keep in mind that what Russia is doing in terms of the military drones. I am not going to disclose any secret that Russia, in terms of production of military drones, is the leader of the world now. No, I'm not talking about those, drones that you go and can buy somewhere in Walmart or no. I'm talking about the real drones. And here we have this kind of classification about the drones and the terms of drone sizes. If you take a look at the drone sizes, you have the medium drones and large drones. They actually explain to you in terms of the lengths. They classify them in terms of lengths, in terms of propeller diameter, and of course we have all kinds of other drones which use not only just one propeller or four, they use many more. They have obviously weight ranging from 1 kilogram to 20 kilograms and about 20 kilograms, and they, as you can see yourself, medium and large drones, are used for professional applications and combat applications. So that brings us to this situation. Mr. Belousov, first deputy prime minister, this was the on the August 6th, 2023. And he talks about that, about so many Russian companies are currently manufactured of unmanned aircraft systems, of which about 20 are large. So 20 companies, actually I think so it's more now. They plan to produce 18,000 large and medium-sized drones. Well, guess what? What are those drones? They are, of course, all kinds of the drones for combat applications. Some of them are, of course, for the civilian use. And he talks about those 70 companies, 20 of them large companies, which such as Zala Corporation, which produce notorious, Lancet drones. So, and here is the Reuters now already in January 24 reporting that the annual production volume of unmanned aerial vehicles, excluding educational UAVs, is planned at 32,500 units. So there you go, and actually it's gonna increase, substantially even as we speak, because Russia evidently a lot of change. There are some actually economic developments which are extremely fast, and you obviously sometimes the plans do not even follow them. They just lagging behind because they suddenly begin to produce things like said drones, combat drones, and Russia overwhelms the battlefield with drones. And if that hasn't been enough, that we can take a look at, where is it? Yeah, here it is, that thing. And that is, how to put it politely, it's the butthurt, it's, self-medicating. In Ukraine, new American technology won the day until it was overwhelmed. Okay, so how you can win something when you get overwhelmed and you lose? And they talk about the project Maven was meant to revolutionize modern warfare. No, it was not, I will tell you immediately. But the conflict in Ukraine has underscored how difficult it is to get 21st century data into the 19th century trenches. This garbage is written by Mr. David Zanger, who will know first thing, having degree in government, whatever that is, and writing for all kinds of the outlets like New York Times and other garbage legacy media. But he has to admit that, we have the situation with the Project Maven and it doesn't work, but it's all, coping, hard coping. And he talks about what is this Project Maven. The Project Maven, pardon me, is garbage. It's the same signal processing. It's the same. It's a bunch of the algorithms. Has nothing to do with the AI. AI doesn't exist. If anybody really thinks that, and he talks about that thing would allow to, identify the targets. Yeah, it's a signal processing, advanced signal processing algorithm. So the idea to get a full-scale revolt on Google Campus. Well, yeah, sure. And so the 6 years ago, the Silicon Valley giant signed a small $9 million contract to put the skills of a few of its most innovative developers to the task of building an artificial intelligence tool that would help the military detect potential targets on the battlefield using drone footage. Yeah, it's signal processing, advanced signal processing, so there's nothing innovative about it. It's a normal development of the signal processing algorithms, which of course become complex, and they have nothing to do with artificial intelligence. But then again, you have to explain to people from Google and people from New York Times what is C4 ISR and how it operates in real military. They have no clue. So the uproar forced the company to back out, but Project Maven didn't die. It just moved to other contractors. Okay, so it failed miserably, which was expected. So, because obviously, American drones never operated in the environment which is incredibly dense electronic warfare environment, and they're just being shot down there, in industrial quantities. So intelligence agency takes over Project Maven, the Pentagon's signature AI scheme. Yes, I think so. It is AI scheme because it's obvious yet another thing of defrauding people and telling them something which is not there and never was. So, and they say Project Maven is the Department of Defense most visible artificial intelligence tool. No, it is not. Designed to process imagery in full motion video from drones and automatically detect potential targets. Yes, it is called, signal processing algorithms, and they have what is called, you have to use the quotation marks, artificial intelligence. This is not artificial intelligence. These are algorithms which use all kinds of the, initial conditions which define for them their functions. And then they process signal, which in this particular case in drones, usually is something optronic, which is infrared, purely optical for some more advanced drones, including the radar. And you do the sensor fusion, you get it into all those modern net-centric warfare thingies, where they do all those funny things like Kalman filter, and things of this nature. And guess what? You get the definition of the target. Something new, right? Well, I can tell you this, it has been known since 1960s, and mathematics for this was in development since 1960s. So they sell again some, broken toilet bowl for you as the Mercedes. And that's basically what they do. Now they remove the Abrams tanks. Well, guess what, guys? You should have studied the lessons of the modern warfare. But what can I say? It's useless. It's useless to also explain to people who what are called the public opinion influencers. I guess most of them should concentrate on, how to put it, influencing the public for selling their dick enlargement creams and things of this nature, snake oils, so that's what it is, and they just lie non-stop. Meanwhile, Russian forces moved to the west. They took yesterday another couple of villages, and the drive continues, and it doesn't matter. So somebody has to tell this Chinese professor to actually check himself into the proper, psychiatric ward, or maybe find a really good psychiatrist, or maybe a psychologist. He'll get on this Freudian, couch and start talking about things which bother him, because obviously when you look at this, their collapse of expertise is overwhelming. And just to demonstrate to you also what I'm talking about, and it relates to China. If you go, for example, to YouTube, it's a very famous, what is called time forward, which also means made in Russia, сделано у нас. It's just to demonstrate to you. This is Russia producing, Russia produces everything in terms, for example, the CNC, computer numerical control machining centers. And guess what? Here's a Russian company which produces all those control units, fully Russian. And if you listen to the CEO of this, one of number of the companies which make this, he will tell you that actually hardware is not a problem at all. It is the software which he tells, yeah, Chinese are not there. We are ahead of it, but he says in order for us to basically catch up software-wise to with the West, which of course never shares with anything, he says, yeah, we need to write our own core, so to speak, nucleus of the program, and it is being done as we speak. So now, guess what? That's just for you to kind of keep in mind, and you know, why Russians are good in producing weapons, and they are good. So, and what can I say? Some people need education on this issue. So this is what I wanted to tell you today. I'm just going through my snippets, so to speak, of if I caught everything that I needed to tell you. And yeah, looks like. So this is my SitRep for the weekend for you guys, to some food for thought. So I probably will be doing some live with my good friend Vera in Russia for Colonel Jacques Beau on 30th. We'll see. He needs to confirm this yet. So, and other than that, as always, guys, my profound thanks again to my patrons, and as always, those who you know, like what I do, please subscribe to my channel, and those who can afford it, guys, please support me on the Patreon or buy me a coffee too. I would really appreciate this. So have a nice weekend, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Bye bye.